Greetings, my name's Suze Cat. I run the blog called Confessions of a Laundry Fairy, and I thought I wanted to talk to you today about bariatric surgery, which I underwent this month, and how my experiences have gone, because they are a little bit different from some of the experiences that people have put online. It's been interesting. I've seen a lot of people who have the first week after surgery been all bouncy and excited and full of energy, and this is a great thing, and that's not been my experience. I certainly can't say that I'm unhappy about my experience, but it has been different. I had my surgery August 2nd. My surgeon was Meyer Shrikant. And he said that it was in many ways a very routine surgery. What I had is something called biliopancreatic diversion with duodenal switch, sometimes shortened to DS. And it is a slightly unusual bariatric surgery. There are a lot of surgeons who don't do it because it's fairly complex. They do two different things in a DS. First of all, they do what's known as a sleeve. So they make your actual stomach much smaller than it is. About 90% of my original stomach is now gone. And they also will reroute your intestines quite a bit. That's where the duodenal switch part comes in. And the combination of those things mean that, first of all, you can't eat very much at one time because you have this little banana-shaped stomach. And second, what you do eat, your body can't get as many of the nutrients out of it as it used to. So it's a deliberately malabsorptive surgery. And what that means for people who have the DS is that if it works the way it's supposed to, not only do you lose a great deal of weight, but you also have a lot of other comorbidities associated with weight that clear up. Or that's how it's supposed to work. Now, although my surgery itself was very routine, according to my surgeon, the time afterwards was not. Most people will spend, say, one night in the hospital and go home afterwards. I ended up spending the better part of 3 days at the hospital because the next day after surgery I was doing all the kinds of stuff they tell you not to do. That I had a bad reaction to certain things. I was nauseated. I couldn't keep any water down. I was at the risk of oversharing, barfing up stuff that looked like coffee grounds. Things were not going well. And so they wanted me to stay put until they could figure out what was going on with me. On my third day there, they figured that I had turned a corner and they sent me home. So that part wasn't so fun. And the other thing that's been kind of difficult for me is that I've had a great deal of pain for the last week, mostly abdominal pain. There are a number of different places that will talk about duodenal switch surgery, and they almost always seem to say that your doctor will do about 4 incisions. That was not true for me. I have 9, count them, 9 incisions on my abdomen. A whole lot of really gorgeous blackening bruises right now. I'm not going to show them to you, sorry. And it's been tough. My stomach muscles are trying to handle the fact that my entire abdomen is swollen up. And because of that, it hurts to sit up, it hurts to get up, it hurts to walk, which is one of the things they want you to do after surgery. It hurts to move in general. And so this first week has not been an easy one. And I've been very fortunate in that I have had a situation where I can just stay home and recuperate, where I can sleep if I need to during the middle of the day. And I realize that not everybody's that fortunate, so I've felt very lucky. I've also been very fortunate in that I live in a time and a place where my insurance will cover most to all of the surgery cost. Until recently, duodenal switch surgery was still considered an experimental surgery, and so a lot of insurances would not cover it. But mine will, to a certain extent, so that was very advantageous, especially since I did have complications afterward. That is something that you need to take into consideration if you are thinking about, say, going out of the country to have your surgery done. you need to make sure that you have the support you need for two reasons. One, if there are complications after surgery, you want to be well taken care of by somebody who knows how to handle potential complications. And two, duodenal switch surgery is going to change the way that you eat. It has to. And you need to have a surgeon who can follow up with nutritional info, with information on how many kinds and types of supplements you're going to be taking. I take massive amounts of supplements now. Like enough that in all probability, if I were not a duodenal switch patient, they would be considered toxic. But again, malabsorptive gut means I have to take large numbers. But all these things mean that you're really going to need a surgeon and a group around a surgeon who can help you with the follow-up, which is you're going to want to have blood work done. You're going to want to have somebody check to make sure you're not taking too much or too little of any type of supplement. You're also going to have to look around and find supplements that you can actually swallow after you have this little teeny tummy that feels like it's the size of a golf ball. So, you'll have to look around, and having a surgeon and a team surrounding that surgeon afterward makes a huge difference for good. So, think about it fairly seriously if you're planning on going out of the country, to make sure that you are going to have the support you will need afterwards. So I know that there's probably people out there saying, if you've gone through all this crap and it sounds like it was horrible, why did you do this? Well, I've been a type 2 diabetic since April of 2011, and duodenal switch surgery, I picked this surgery in part because it has about 90+% rate of remission of type 2 diabetes. It means that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's cured, but it means that the symptoms go away, and sometimes they stay away. There are a lot of people in my family who have been type 2 diabetics. Many of them have died of complications from type 2. My mom, bless her, is currently in dialysis 3 times a week because of complications from type 2. And after having watched all these people over the years slowly dying of diabetes, I decided that was not something I wanted to do. And if there were some other route I could take, I was going to do it. And this is the route I've chosen. It's going to be difficult. I'm not kidding myself that it's always going to be fun, but I believe that it's likely that I will be able to avoid a lot of the complications they've had to go through because of this surgery. So I'm hoping for the best, and even though this has been a rough first week, I can honestly say that I think I'm making the right choice. If you have other questions about DS, or if you want to know more about, my surgeon, or if you want to know about any of the things that I've discussed, please make comments. Let me know. I'd be happy to respond. And I plan on making more of these, so if you like, you can certainly subscribe and find out more of what's going on with me. Again, my name's Suze Cat. I run a blog called Confessions of a Laundry Fairy, and thanks very much for your time. Bye.